Okay, so this is Microsoft Teams. It's a new collaboration space for colleagues in a new communication center. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see that there's going to be an activity option, chat, Teams, in files. Activity is basically just showing what you've been doing, what your team members have been doing as well. It's pretty explanatory. Then we have Teams. We're going to move down here. Teams is going to be a team you're actually working with within Spectrum. For instance, I'm in the IBHC. So when I press on that, you're going to see posts, files, your notebook, etc. So under post, you are going to be able to schedule meetings through this. You can push notifications. If you want to at someone, it's going to immediately notify them, and it's going to pop up in usually the bottom right hand corner. And then new content should be bolded. As you can see here, like we have meetings, and basically it's similar to, I would say, a mass email, but instead of emailing, you can just post through here and everyone's going to be able to see it within your team. Then we are going to move to files. You yourself can upload files and everyone within this team is going to be able to see them. You can make a new file, you can upload them, you can copy the link within the files, and you can also download some of the files. And when you upload files, typically it's going to be within Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. So this is going to be the chat section. Within chat, you can add live conversations through the, if you can see right here, there should be a little cell phone. You can call them, and you can also FaceTime people. You can also add up to 100 people within a chat, and you can FaceTime them all at once and call them all at once. That's typically how meetings are going to run. You can share your screen, and it can show your monitor, windows, or presentations.
So going a little more in depth into a few things on Teams, this is what is called the notebook. For this particular one, since it's under IBHC, this is called the Integrative Healthcare Notebook, but you'll also probably have notebooks in some of these other workshops eventually. But this is basically where you can make sections for a notebook. You can have like notes here. You can see, and anybody who has access to this tab right up here, this notebook, can make notes and things like that. So you can kind of like collaborate this way. Metrics, examples, here's meetings. These are just kind of like prep notes if you want to see what you'll discuss in future meetings. Let's go to metrics, for example. So this is what kind of a blank, empty page would look like in the notebook. And you can see you have like options. You can like insert pictures and things like that. But if you have OneNote, which should be free, if you just Google OneNote, you can download it on Mac and Windows. So you'll go up here to open in browser. And then so you can open the notebook in the browser, which is basically just going to open it up in Google Chrome, or you can open it up in app, and the app is called OneNote. So it's just going to automatically open here. And so this is that same notebook, just in its native app. So this is what it looks like in the app. If you wanted to add like your own document here, kind of how like some of these things will have like screenshots of documents. What you can do, you can open your computer's like file explorer, and then this is just like a random file. So you just drag it, and then you'll see here it says attach file. So if you attach file, it's just going to pop up with this. And then in order to see what the file is, you have to download it. Or you can click and drag and hit insert printout. Let's see. There you go. And then, so insert printout basically takes whatever's in that document and puts it here. This isn't like an editable, you can't edit this or anything. It's really just kind of like a picture. But if you wanted to showcase something or share it with other people without having to just like copy and paste all the words, this is how you do it. So that is OneNote and the notebook. You can still do all of that in here as well. But if you have the OneNote app, it's much easier to do. So then here, IBHC Dev. So this is the planner for Teams, and you'll see it has like a to-do list, like policy manual, pre-launch. These are just like various things in Teams that need to be done. So you can see here, you can see what tasks are due for certain people. You can see like due dates. You can see the subtasks, and whenever you're done with a particular task, you can just check it off and it'll disappear. If you go into your chat, you'll also see this planner whenever a task is assigned to you or you assign a task to yourself. It'll pop up here. So this is kind of a view of all the tasks that you have just for you. Let's go back to Teams here. So if when you go into Workshop and then you go into whichever folder whichever folder you need to get into, and you hit this sort of planner, like for instance, you hit IBHC Dev and it pops up with an error message and you don't see this, just click this globe icon right here and it'll basically open up the planner in Google Chrome or in your browser. And then you should be able to access it here if you're having issues with the app, the Teams app for whatever reason. But this is another way that you can access the planner. And then you'll see some other tabs here in IBHC, and then you'll also see a few other tabs as we go along. But you'll see, for instance, like flowchart. So this is the big policy manual, I guess, for the IBHC program. And you can see that you'll be able to edit it here in Teams. But if you have Microsoft Word downloaded onto your computer, you can hit this open in desktop app. And then it'll open that document or any other document that you open in the desktop app, it'll open that document in Word. So here you'll see that you have much more customization. You can fully use Word. If you need to insert like a table or something, you can do that and it won't really mess it up. And then whatever happens here, and if you hit save, it'll save on Teams as well. But if you wanted to do some like formatting and things like that, I would recommend opening it in the desktop app if you have Word, just because it's easier to format things that way, because the layout here, as you can see, it's a little limited. And then as guest accounts, because all the interns will have a guest account. If you'll see here for me, it says my name and then guests. So all interns are considered like guests. So we have a free version of Teams. So that basically means that we won't have certain features. If you've seen some of the Teams tutorial videos on YouTube, some of them mention calendar, which it would usually be here. But since we're a free account, we don't have calendar. So if you wanted to access like a meeting or something like that, it would just pop up here under like posts of a workshop, and then you just click it and then you go to that meeting. And then if you hit, another limitation is if you hit here, this client assessment. So you'll see here that it just switches off with this pop-up and then it goes back and it just keeps loading. If you see that, or if you see a login screen and then after you log in with your Microsoft account, it pops up with this, that's okay. So as far as we know right now, guest accounts can't access, you'll see it says forms.office.com. You can't access that for whatever reason. The same thing happens if you hit scheduling. So you can't access that right now. With our guest accounts, it's probably just a feature we don't have access to. Meetings as well, we don't have access to it, but I don't think that we will need to mess with that as interns. So let's go back to posts. But yeah, that's just a little bit about Spectrum Health on Teams.